or I am always happy at work. My career is filled with joy and laughter and abundance. Always declare in the present tense. What you declare, you will get. If you don't, then there are beliefs within you that are refusing to accept your good. Make a list of what I believe about work. You may be amazed at the negative beliefs within you. You won't prosper until you change those beliefs. When you work at a job you hate, you are shutting down the ability of your power to express itself. Think of the qualities you want in a job, what it would feel like if you had the perfect job. It is essential that you are clear about what you do want. Your higher self will find a job that is right for you. If you don't know, be willing to know. Open yourself to the wisdom that is inside you.
I learned early through science of mind that my job was to express life. Every time I was presented with a problem, I knew it was an opportunity to grow, and that the power that created me had given me everything I needed to solve that problem. After my initial panic, I would quiet my mind and turn within. I gave thanks for the opportunity to demonstrate the power of the divine intelligence working through me. A woman at one of my workshops wanted to be an AC tress. Her parents persuaded her to attend law school, and she was under a lot of pressure from everyone around her to go into law. However, she stopped going after 1 month. She decided to take an acting class, because that is what she always wanted to do. Soon after, she started having dreams that she was going nowhere in her life, and she became miserable and depressed. She was having a problem letting go of her doubts, and had reservations about making the biggest mistake in her life, which she feared she could never go back and change. I asked her, "Whose voice is that in there?" She said those were the words that her father had told her several times. There are many people who can relate to this young woman's story. She wanted to act, and her parents wanted her to be a lawyer. She got to a point of confusion, not knowing what to do. She needed to understand that it 164 the power is within you was her father's way of saying, "I love you." If she became a lawyer, he felt she would be safe and secure. That's what he wanted. However, it's not what she wanted. She had to do what was right for her life even if it did not meet her father's expectations. I told her to sit in front of the mirror and look into her eyes and say, "7 love you, and I support you in having what you really want. VM go ing to support you in every way that I can." I told her to take the time to listen. She needed to connect to her inner wisdom and realize that she didn't have to please anyone other than herself. She could love her father and still fulfill herself. She had the right to feel worthy and able to do it. And she could tell her father, "I love you and I don't want to be a lawyer, I want to be an heiress, or whatever." It is one of our challenges to do what is right for us even when those who care about us have other ideas. We are not here to fulfill other people's expectations. When we have strong beliefs that we don't deserve, we have problems doing what we want. If other people tell you that you can't have, and then you deny yourself, the child inside you doesn't believe it deserves anything good. Again, it comes back to learning and practicing ways to love yourself more each day. I repeat, do begin by writing down everything you believe about work and failure and success. Look at all the negatives and realize that those are the beliefs that keep you from flowing in this area. You may find you have many beliefs that say you deserve to fail. Take each negative statement and turn it into a positive one. Begin to I. Expressing your creativity 166. Shape in your mind what you want your fulfilling work to be. Your income can come from many sources. How many of us believe that we have to work hard to earn a good living? Especially in this country, there is a work ethic that implies that one must work hard to be a good person, and in addition to that, work is drudgery. I have found that if you work at what you love, you can usually create a good income for yourself. If you say, "I hate this job," you will get nowhere. Whatever you are doing, bring love and a positive attitude into it. If you are in an uncomfortable situation, look within to see what is the best lesson for you to learn from it. One young woman told me that her belief system allowed money to come to her from all sorts of unexpected sources. Her friends criticized her ability to draw wealth to her in her unique way and insisted that she had to work hard to earn money. She said that they knew she didn't work hard at all. So she began to run the fear that if she didn't work hard, that meant that she didn't deserve the money she had. Her consciousness was on the right track originally. She needed to thank herself instead of becoming fearful. She understood how to manifest abundance, and her life was working in that area without any struggle. However, her friends wanted to pull her down because they all worked hard, and they didn't have as much money as she did. 166 The power is within you. Many times I reach out my hand to others, and if they take it and want to learn new things and go places, it's wonderful. If they try and drag me down, I say goodbye, and I work with somebody who really wants to come up out of the mud. If your life is filled with love and joy, don't listen to some miserable, lonely person who tells you how to run your life. If your life is rich and abundant, don't listen to someone who is poor and in debt tell you how to run it. Very often, our parents are the ones telling us how to do things. They come from a place of burden and hardship and misery, and then try to tell us how to run our lives. Many people worry about the economy and believe they will either earn or lose money due to the economic situation at present. However, the economy is always moving up and down. So it doesn't matter what is happening out there, or what others do to change the economy. We are not stuck because of the economy. No matter what is happening out there in the world, it only matters what you believe about yourself. If you have a fear about becoming homeless, ask yourself, where am I not at home within myself? Where do I feel abandoned? What do I need to do to experience inner peace? All outer experiences reflect inner beliefs. I have always used the affirmation, my income is constantly increasing / another affirmation I like is /go. Expressing your creativity 167. Beyond my parents' income level. You have a right to earn more than your parents did. It's almost a necessity since things cost more now. Women, especially, experience a lot of conflict with this one. Often they find it difficult to earn more than their fathers are earning. They need to go beyond their feelings of not deserving and accept the abundance of financial wealth that is their divine right. Your job is only one of many channels of an infinite source of money. Money is not the object of your right work. Money can come to you in many ways and from many avenues. No matter how it comes, accept it with joy as a gift from the universe. A young lady was complaining that her in-laws were buying her new baby all sorts of nice things, and she could not afford to buy anything. I reminded her that the universe wanted that baby to be well supplied with an abundance of all good, and used the in-laws as a channel to supply it. She then could be grateful and appreciate the way in which the universe was providing for her baby. Relationships on the job. The relationships we create at work are similar to the relationships we have as a family. They can be healthy or they can be dysfunctional. A woman once asked me, as a person who is usually positive, how do I deal with people in a work environment who are constantly negative? First of all, I thought it interesting that she was in a 168 The power is within you. Work environment where everybody was negative when she said she was positive. I wondered why she was attracting negativity to her. Perhaps there was negativity within her that she did not recognize. I suggested that she start to believe for herself that she always worked in an area where it was peaceful and joyful, where people really appreciated each other and life as a whole. Where there was respect on all sides. Instead of complaining how so-and-so had to do it his way, she could affirm for herself that she always worked in the ideal place. By adopting this philosophy, she could either help bring out the best qualities in others, because they would be responding differently to her inner changes, or she would find herself in another work arena where the conditions would be as she declared. A man once told me that when he started his job he had all these incredible instincts, and his job was wonderful and sailed along smoothly. He was precise, direct, and satisfied. Suddenly, he began to make mistakes every day. I asked him what he was frightened of. Could it be an old childhood fear that was surfacing? Was there someone at work with whom he was angry, or was he trying to get even with somebody? Did that person remind him of one of his parents? Had this happened in other jobs? It seemed to me that he was creating some chaos at work because of an old belief system. He recognized that it was an old I. Expressing your creativity 169. Family pattern where he was ridiculed every time he made a mistake. I suggested that he forgive his family and affirm that he now has wonderful, harmonious relationships at work where people totally respect him and appreciate everything he does. When you think of your coworkers, don't think they're so negative. Everybody has every quality in them, so respond to the good qualities that are in them, and respect their peacefulness instead. When you can focus on these qualities, they will rise to the surface. If others are constantly saying negative things, don't pay attention. You want to change your consciousness. Since they are reflecting something negative within you, when your consciousness really changes, negative people won't be around very much. Even if you feel frustrated, start affirming what you want to have in your workspace. Then accept it with joy and thanksgiving. One woman had an opportunity at work to do what she loved and to grow from the experience. However, she would constantly get sick and sabotage herself. She called that when she was a child she was always getting sick, because it was her way of getting love and affection. So she kept recreating the pattern of getting sick as an adult. What she needed to learn was how to get love and affection in a more positive way. When anything went wrong at work, she went right back to being the 5-year-old girl. So when she began to take care of her little inner child, she also learned to feel safe and to accept her own power. 170 The power is within you. Competition and comparison are two major stumbling blocks to your creativity. Your uniqueness sets you apart from all others. There has never been another person like you since time began, so hat is there to compare or compete ith. Comparison either makes you feel superior or inferior, which are expressions of your ego, your limited mind thinking. If you are going to compare to make yourself feel a little bit better, then you are saying somebody else isn't good enough. If you put others down, you may think you will raise yourself up. What you really do is put yourself in a position to be criticized by others. We all do this on some level, and it's good when we can transcend it. Becoming enlightened is to go within and shine the light on yourself so you can dissolve whatever darkness that is in there. I want to say, again, that everything changes, and what was perfect for you once may not be anymore. In order for you to keep changing and growing, you keep going within and listening for that which is right for you in the here and now. Changing the way we do business. For the past several years, I have owned my own ing business. My motto has been that we open the mail and answer the phone, and handle what's in front of us, and there is always plenty to do. As we did this day by expressing your creativity 171. Day, the business grew from a few people to well over 20 employees. We established our business on spiritual principles, us ing affirmative mind treatments to open and close meetings. We realized that many other businesses ran on competition, often condemning others, and we did not want to put that energy out to others, knowing that it would come back twofold. We decided that if we were going to live by the philosophy, we were not going to operate under the old concepts of doing business. If problems arose, we would spend time affirming what we wanted to change. We also had a soundproof screaming room happy face where employees could let off steam without being heard or judged. It was also a place where they could meditate or relax, and we supplied it with plenty of tapes for people to listen to. It became a safe haven in times of difficulty. I remember a time when we were having many problems with our computer system, and every day something would break down. Because I believe machines reflect our consciousness, I realized that many of us were sending negative energy to the computers, and we were expecting them to constantly break down. I had an affirmation programmed into the computer. Good morning, how are you today? I work well when I am loved. I love you. In the morning when everyone turned on their computers, that message would appear. It's amazing how we had no more problems with our computers. Sometimes we think of things that happen, especially at work, as disasters. But we must look at them for what they are, simply life experiences that always teach. 172 The power is within you. US something. I know that I have never had a disaster that did not end up a good learning experience in the end, and it often moved me to a much better level in life. For instance, recently my company, Hay House, was not doing so well. Like the economy, our sales would go up and down, and it appeared that sales were down and staying that way, at least for the moment. However, we did not adjust to that, and month after month we were spending more than we took in. Anyone who has owned a business knows that that is not the way to do it. Even truly it looked as if I would lose my business if I didn't take some drastic measures. Those drastic measures included letting go of over half of my staff. You can imagine how difficult it was for me to do that. I remember walking into the conference room, where all my staff had gathered, to deliver the news. I was in tears, but I knew that it had to be done. As difficult as it was for all of us, I also trusted that my much-loved employees would soon find new and better jobs. And almost all of them have. Some of them have even started their own businesses, and are very successful. At the darkest time I kept knowing and affirming that this experience would turn out to be for the highest good of all concerned. Of course, everyone else assumed the worst. Rumors were flying that Hay House was belly up. Not just within the people I knew, but all over the country. Our sales staff were surprised that so many business people even knew about our company, let alone its financial condition. I have to admit that we took great joy in proving those forecasts wrong. By tightening our belts tremendously, we expressing your creativity 173. Didn't go belly up. With our smaller staff, and each of us determined to make it work, we've come through it very well, but most importantly we have learned a lot. In the meantime, Hay House is now doing better than ever. My staff is enjoying their work, and I am enjoying my staff. Even though we are all working harder, the interesting thing is that no one feels that they have too much work to do. We are even getting more books out than we ever had, and are attracting much more prosperity in all areas of our lives. I believe that everything does work out for the best in the end, but sometimes it is hard to see that while you are going through the experience. Think of a negative experience that may have happened to you in your work, or in your past, in general. Perhaps you were fired, or maybe your spouse left you. Now go beyond it and take a look at the big picture. Didn't many good things happen as a result of that experience? I've heard so many times, yes. That was a horrible thing that happened to me, but if it hadn't, I never would have met so-and-so, or start my own business, or admit that I had an addiction, or learn to love myself. By trusting the divine intelligence to let us experience life in the way that is best for us, we empower ourselves to enjoy everything that life has to offer, the good as well as the so-called bad. Try applying this to your work experiences, and notice the changes that happen to you. 174 The power is within you. Those who own or operate businesses can begin to function as an expression of divine intelligence. It is important to keep the lines of communication open with employees, and allow them to express their feelings about their work in a safe way. Make sure the offices are a neat and clean place to work. Here again, clutter in an office reflects the consciousness of the people working there. With all the physical clutter, how can the mental or intellectual tasks be done well and on time? You could adopt a statement of purpose that reflects the desired philosophy of your business. At Hay House we feel our purpose is create a world where it is safe for us to love each other. T. When you allow divine intelligence to operate in all spheres of business, then everything flows on purpose and according to a divine plan. The most wonderful opportunities will fall in your lap. I see many businesses beginning to change. There will come a time when business will not be able to survive the old ways of competition and conflict. One day we will all know that there is plenty for everyone, and that we bless and prosper each other. Companies can begin to shift their priorities and make it a great place for their workers to express themselves and have their products and services benefit the planet in general. People want to get more out of their work than just a paycheck. They want to contribute to the world and feel fulfilled. In the future, the ability to do good on a global level will overshadow the need for materialism. Chapter 13. The Totality of Possibilities. Each one of us is totally linked with the universe and with all of life. The power is within us to expand the horizons of our consciousness. Now I want you to stretch even further. If you have been on the pathway and doing work on yourself for some time, does that mean you have nothing else to do? Are you really going to sit on your laurels and rest? Or do you realize that this inner work is a lifetime occupation, and once you start, you really never stop? You can hit plateaus and take vacations, but basically it's a lifetime's worth of work. You may want to ask yourself what areas you still need to work on and what you need. Are you healthy? Are you happy? Are you prosperous? Are you creatively fulfilled? Do you feel safe? Do you feel secure? Limitations learned from the past. There is an expression I like to use a lot.
The totality of possibilities. I learned it from one of my early teachers in
New York, Eric Pace. It always gave me such a taking off place for letting my mind go beyond what I thought possible, far beyond the limited beliefs I grew up with when I was young. Being a child, I didn't understand that the passing criticisms of grown-ups and friends were just the result of a bad day or a small disappointment, and really weren't true. I accepted these thoughts and beliefs about myself willingly, and they became a part of my limitations. I may not have looked awkward, or dumb, or silly, but I sure felt it. Most of us create the ideas we believe about life by the time we are 5 years old. We add a little bit more when we are teenagers, and maybe a tiny bit more when we're older, but very little. If I were to ask most people why they believe such and such on any subject, and they trace it back, they would discover that they made a certain decision about the subject by the time they were this young age. So, we live in the limitations of our 5-year-old consciousness. It was something we accepted from our parents, and we still live under the limitations of our parents' consciousness. Even the most wonderful parents in the world didn't know everything, and had their own limitations. We say what they said and do what they did. You can't do that, or that won't work. However, we don't need limitations, as important as they may seem. Some of our beliefs may be positive and nourishing. These thoughts served us well all of our lives, such as, look both ways before you cross the street, or fresh fruits and vegetables are good for your body. Other. The Totality of Possibilities 177. Thoughts may be useful at a young age, but as we grow older, they are no longer appropriate. Don't trust strangers, for instance, may be good advice for a small child. As adults, to perpetuate this belief only creates isolation and loneliness. The good news in all of this is that we can always make adjustments all the time. The moment we say I can't, or it won't work, or there's not enough money, or what would the neighbors think, we are limited. This last expression is a significant obstacle for us. What will the neighbors, or my friends, or my coworkers, or whoever think? It's a good excuse, now we don't have to do it, because they wouldn't do it, and they wouldn't approve. As society changes, what the neighbors think changes, also, so to hold on to this assumption doesn't make sense. If someone says to you, "Nobody has ever done it this way before," you can say, "So what? There are hundreds of ways of doing something, so do the way that's right for you." We tell ourselves other absurd messages such as, "I'm not strong enough," or "I'm not young enough," or "I'm not old enough," or "I'm not tall enough," or "I'm not the right sex." How often have you used the last one? Because I'm a woman, I can't do this, or because I'm a man, I can't do that. Your soul has no sexuality. I believe you agreed upon your sexuality before you were born to learn a spiritual lesson. To feel inferior because of sexuality is not only a poor excuse, but also another way to relinquish your power. Our limitations often stop us from expressing and experiencing the totality of possibilities. I don't have the 178. The power is within you. Right education. How many of us have let that one stop us? We have to realize that education is something set up by groups of people who say, "You can't do such and such unless you do it our way." We can accept that as a limitation, or we can go beyond it. I accepted it for many, many years because I was a high school dropout. I used to say, "Oh, I don't have any education. I can't think. I can't get a good job. I can't do anything well." Then one day I realized that the limitation was all in my mind and had nothing to do with reality. When I dropped my own limiting beliefs and I allowed myself to move into the totality of possibilities, I discovered that I could think. I discovered that I was very bright and I could communicate. I discovered all sorts of possibilities, which when viewed from the limitations of the past seemed impossible. Limiting the potential within us. Then, there are some of you who think you know it all. The trouble with knowing it all is that you don't grow, and nothing new can come in. Do you accept that there is a power and an intelligence greater than you, or do you think that you are it, you in your physical body? If you think that you're it, then you will be running scared because of your limited mind. If you realize that there is a power in this universe that is far greater and wiser and you are a part of it, then you can move into the space where the totality of possibilities can operate. The totality of possibilities. 179. How often do you allow yourself to dwell in the limitations of your present consciousness? Every time you say, "I can't," you are putting a stop sign in front of you. You shut down the door to your own inner wisdom, and you block the flow of energy that is your spiritual knowingness. Are you willing to go beyond what you believe today? You woke up this morning with certain concepts and ideas. You have the ability to move beyond some of them to experience a far greater reality. It is called Learn ing, because you are taking in something new. It may fit in with what is already there, or it may even be better. Have you ever noticed that when you start rearranging your closet, you discard clothes and odds and ends that you no longer need? You pile up the possessions you are giving away on one side, and throw away the stuff that is no longer usable. Then you begin to put everything back, and in a totally different order. It's easier to find what you're looking for, and at the same time, you made room for new clothes. If you bought a new outfit and put it in the old closet, you may have had to jam it between other paraphernalia. If you clean out your closet and rearrange it, then when you bring in the new outfit, it has room for itself. We need to do the same routine with our minds. We need to clean out the contents that no longer work, so we have room for the new possibilities. Where God is, all things are possible, and God is in each one of us.
Let me start.
If we continue with our preconceived ideas, then we are blocked. When someone is ill, do you say, "Oh, poor person, how he or she must be suffering"? Or do you look? 180. The power is within you. At the person and see the absolute truth of being and affirm the health of the divine power that is within. Do you see the totality of possibilities and know that miracles can happen? A man I once met told me very emphatically that it was absolutely impossible for a grown person to change. He was living in the desert and had all sorts of illnesses, and he wanted to sell his property. He didn't want to change his thinking, so he was very rigid when it came time to negotiate with a buyer. It had to be done his way. It was apparent that he would have a very burdensome time trying to sell his property, because his belief was that he could never change. All he had to do was open his consciousness to a new way of thinking. Expanding our horizons. How do we keep ourselves from moving into this total ITY of possibilities? What else limits us? All our fears are limitations. If you are frightened and you say, "I can't, it won't work," what will happen? Fearful experiences will come back. Judgments are limitations. None of us like to be judged, yet how often do we do it? We're incurring limitations by our judgments. Every time you find yourself judging or criticizing, no matter how small, remind yourself that what goes out comes back. You may want to stop limiting your possibilities and change your thinking to something wonderful. There is a difference between being judgmental and having an opinion. Many of you are asked for your judge. The totality of possibilities 181. Meant of something. In actuality, you are really giving your opinion. An opinion is how you feel about something, such as, "I prefer not to do this. I prefer to wear red instead of blue." To say someone else is wrong because she wears blue becomes a judgment. We need to discern between the two. Remember, criticism is always making yourself or someone else wrong. If someone asks your opinion, your preference, don't let it become a judgment or criticism against something else. Similarly, every time you indulge in guilt, you are setting a limitation. If you hurt someone, say you're sorry, and don't hurt the person anymore. Don't walk around feeling guilty, because it keeps you locked out from experiencing your good, and has nothing to do with the reality of your true being. When you are unwilling to forgive, you limit your growth. Forgiveness allows you to right a wrong in your spiritual self, to have understanding instead of resentment, to have compassion instead of hatred. Look at your problems as opportunities for you to grow. When you have problems, do you see only the restrictions of your limited mind thinking? Do you think, "Oh, poor me, why did it happen to me?" You don't always have to know how situations are going to work out. You need to trust the power and presence within, which is far greater than you are. You need to affirm that all is well. And everything is working out for your highest good. If you open yourself to the possibilities when you have problems, you can make changes. Changes can happen in incredible ways, perhaps ways you could not even imagine. We've all been in situations in our halves where we've 182 the power is within you. Said, "I don't know how I'll work this out." It seemed like we were up against a brick wall, and yet we are all here now, and we've worked through whatever it was. Maybe we didn't understand how it happened, yet it did happen. The more we can align ourselves with the cosmic energy, the one intelligence, the truth and power within us, the quicker those wonderful possibilities can be realized. Group consciousness. It is essential that we leave our limited thinking and beliefs behind and awaken our consciousness to a more cosmic view of life. The development of higher consciousness on this planet is happening at a rate far faster than ever before. The other day I saw a graph that just fascinated me. It showed the growth of various systems in our history and how they have changed. Agricultural development was overshadowed by industrial growth, and then around 1950, the informational phase took over as communication and computer operation became widespread. Alongside this informational period, there is also a consciousness-raising movement graph that is shooting far ahead of the informational phase at an unchallenged rate of advancement. Can you imagine what it means? I do a lot of traveling, and wherever I go, I see people who are studying and learning. I've been to Australia, Jerusalem, London, Paris, and Amsterdam, and everywhere I go I meet large groups of people who are searching for ways to expand and enlighten themselves. They are fascinated. The totality of possibilities 183. By how their minds work, and they are using their wisdom to take control of their halves and their experiences. We are reaching new levels of spirituality. Although religious wars are still being fought, they are becoming less and less prevalent. We are beginning to connect with one another on higher levels of consciousness. The collapse of the Berlin Wall and the birth of freedom in Europe are examples of our expanding consciousness, as freedom is our natural birthright. As the consciousness of each person awakens, group consciousness becomes influenced as well. Every time you use your consciousness in a positive way, you are connecting with other people who are doing the same. Every time you use it in a negative way, you are also connecting to that. Every time you meditate, you are connecting with other people on the planet who are meditating. Every time you visualize good for yourself, you do it for others as well. Every time you visualize the healing of your body, you connect with others who are doing the same thing. Our goals are to expand our thinking and to go beyond what was to what might be. Our consciousness can create miracles in the world. The totality of possibilities connects everything, including our universe and beyond. What are you connecting with? Prejudice is a form of fear. If you're prejudiced, you are connecting with other prejudiced people. If you open 184, the power is within you. Your consciousness and do the best you can to work on a level of unconditional love, then you connect the curve on the graph that is climbing upwards. Do you want to be left behind? Or do you want to go up with the curve? Often there is a crisis in the world. How many people send positive energy to the troubled area and do affirmations that everything works out as quickly as possible and that there is a solution for the highest good of all concerned? You need to use your consciousness in a way that will create harmony and plenty for all people. What sort of energy are you sending? Instead of condemning and complaining, you can connect with the power on the spiritual level and affirm the most positive results imaginable. How far are you willing to expand the horizons of your thinking? Are you willing to go beyond your neighbors? If your neighbors are limited, make new friends. How far will you stretch? How willing are you to change/can't to can? Every time you hear that something is incurable, know in your mind that it isn't true. Know that there is a power greater. Incurable to me means that the medical profession simply hasn't yet figured out how to cure that particular illness. It doesn't mean that it's not possible. It means that we go within and find a cure. We can go beyond statistics. We are not numbers on a chart. Those are someone else's projections, somebody's limited mind. The totality of possibilities 185. Thinking. If we don't give ourselves possibilities, we don't give ourselves hope. Dr. Donald M. Pachuta at the National AIDS Conference in Washington, D.C., said that we have never had an epidemic.
Ever that was 100% fatal? Somewhere on this planet, someone has been healed of every single disease that we have been able to create. If we just accept doom and gloom, we are stuck. We need to take a positive approach so we can find some answers. We need to begin to use the power within us to heal ourselves. Our other powers, it is said that we use only 10% of our brain. Only 10%. What is the purpose of the other 90%? I think having psychic ability, telepathy, clairvoyance, or clairaudience all are all normal and natural. It's just that we don't allow ourselves to experience these phenomena. We have all sorts of reasons why we don't or why we don't believe we can. Little children are often very psychic. Unfortunately, parents immediately say, "Don't say that," or "That's your imagination," or "Don't believe in that foolish nonsense." The child inevitably turns off these abilities. I think the mind is capable of remarkable things, and I know for certain that I could go from New York to Los Angeles without a plane if I only know how to dematerialize and rematerialize there. I don't know how yet, but I know it is possible.
6. The power is within you. I think that we are capable of accomplishing incredibly achievements, but we haven't the knowledge yet because we won't use it for our good. We will probably hurt others with the knowledge. We have to get to a point where we really can live in unconditional love, so we can begin using the other 90% of our brains. Fire walking. How many have heard about fire walking? Whenever I ask this question at seminars, several hands always go up. We all know that it is totally impossible to walk on hot coals, right? Nobody can do it without burning their feet. Yet people have done it, and they aren't extraordinary people, they are people like you and me. They probably learned it in one evening by attending a fire walking workshop. I have a friend, Darby Long, who works with Dr. Carl Simonton, the cancer specialist. They do a week-long workshop for people with cancer, and during the week, they have a fire walking demonstration. Darby has done it herself many times, and has even carried people across the hot coals. I always think how incredible it must be for people with cancer to see and experience such a process. It probably blows a lot of people's minds. Their concepts about limitation would somehow be different afterward. I believe Anthony Robbins, the young man who started fire walking in this country, is here to do something really extraordinary on the planet. He studied NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, a process whereby he could OB. The totality of possibilities. 187. Serve someone's patterns of behavior, and then repeat that person's responses and cues of behavior to achieve similar results. NLP is based on the hypnotic techniques of Milton Erickson, MD, which were systematically observed and recorded by John Grinder and Richard Handler. When Tony heard about fire walking, he wanted to learn it and, in turn, to teach it to others. He was told by a yogi that it would take years of study and meditation. However, using NLP, Tony learned it within a few hours. He knew that if he could do it, anyone could do it. He has been teaching people how to walk on coals, not because it is a wonderful parlor trick, but because it shows them how to go beyond their limitations and fears. Everything is possible. Repeat with me, 7. Live and dwell in the totality of possibilities. Where I am, there is all good. Think about these words for a minute. All good. Not some, not a little bit, but all good. When you believe that anything is possible, you open yourself up to answers in every area of your life. Where we are is the totality of possibilities. It is always up to us individually and collectively. We either have walls around us or we take them down and feel safe enough to be totally open to allow all good to come into our lives. Begin to observe yourself objectively. Notice what is going on inside you, how you feel, how you react, what you believe, and allow yourself to observe without comment or judgment. When you can, you will live your life from the totality of possibilities. Part 5. Letting go of the past. The planet is becoming conscious as a whole. It is becoming self-conscious. Chapter 14. Change and transition. Some people would rather leave the planet than change. Change is usually what we want the other person to do, isn't it? When I speak about the other person, I want to include the government, big business, the boss or co-worker, the Internal Revenue Service, foreigners, the school, husband, wife, mother, father, children, etc., anyone other than ourselves. We don't want to change, but we want everybody else to change so our lives will be different. And yet, of course, any changes that we are going to make it all have to come from within ourselves. Change means that we free ourselves from feelings of isolation, separation, loneliness, anger, fear and pain. We create lives filled with wonderful peacefulness, where we can relax and enjoy life as it comes to us, where we know that everything will be all right. I like to use the premise that life is wonderful, all is perfect in my world, and I always move into greater good / in that way. It doesn't matter to me which direction my life takes, because I know it's going to be wonderful. Therefore, I can enjoy all sorts of situations and circumstances. 191. 192. The power is within you. Someone at one of my lectures was going through a lot of turmoil, and the word pain kept coming up in the conversation. She asked if there was another word that she could use. I thought about the time I had smashed my finger by slamming a window on it. I knew if I gave in to the pain, I was going to go through a very difficult period. So when it happened, I started to do some mental work right away, and referred to my finger as having a lot of sensation. By viewing what happened in that particular way, I think it helped to heal the finger much more quickly, and to handle what could have been a very unpleasant experience. Sometimes if we can alter our think a little bit, we can completely change a situation. Can you think of change as an internal house cleaning? If you do a little bit at a time, it will eventually all get done. You don't have to do it all, however, before you begin to see results. If you change just a little bit, you'll begin to feel better soon. I was at the Reverend O.C. Smith's City of Angels Science of Mind Church on New Year's Day, and he said something that made me think. He said, "It's the new year, but you've got to realize that the new year is not going to change you. Just because it's a new year, it's not going to make any difference in your life. The only way there's going to be a change is if you are willing to go within and make the change."